Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We're so delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is Rebecca Greene. She is here to celebrate her beautiful picture book, My Perfect Cupcake. We're really excited to have Rebecca on the show. My Perfect Cupcake is a perfect book to start a conversation with your kids or with others about food allergies and intolerances, a subject that I really didn't think about until I was an adult and developed a couple of food allergies and intolerances. So it is an important conversation for everybody to have. Hey, you know, another conversation that I'd love to have with you. Not too long ago, we had Michael Pelico on the show. He is a children's author. He's also the producer of the Netflix film Skater Girl. He's also a medical researcher. At the end of our conversation, I asked Dr. Michael about the COVID-19 vaccines, and he said something that I completely agree with. We believe that everybody should go out and get vaccinated against COVID-19. It's easy, it's safe, and it makes a difference. I was vaccinated about 6 hours after my doctor's office called me and let me know that I was eligible. Now, I'm not in favor of any kind of governmental mandate to force people to get vaccinated, but I want to encourage you. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be safe. I need you. I need you to help me help families grow closer through reading, and to do that, I need you healthy. So I want to encourage you to go out and get your COVID-19 vaccine if you haven't done so already. Joining us right now from the Washington, D.C. area, Northern Virginia, one of my favorite parts of the world. Our guest today is the author of My Perfect Cupcake, part of the Fearless Food Allergy Friends series. Please welcome to the show, Rebecca Greene. Hey, Rebecca, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
I'm really excited to have you on the show, Rebecca. Please tell us about My Perfect Cupcake.
So My Perfect Cupcake is a new children's book that was just published on April 20th. And it is the first book in a new series I've created called the Fearless Food Allergy Friends. And in that series, each book in the series focuses on a different top 8 food allergen and has a unique storyline and main character. So in My Perfect Cupcake, the food allergen that is the focus of the book is tree nuts. And the main character, Dylan, loves cupcakes more than anything else in the world. And then when he tries a new cupcake flavor from his favorite bakery, he has an allergic reaction. And it's a butter pecan cupcake. And so the rest of the book is about how he copes with his diagnosis. What does he do? It focuses on creative thinking and problem solving. And he decides to bake his own allergy-safe cupcakes in his own kitchen at home. And then in the second part of the book, when he's at school and there's a class party, he decides to bake a cupcake that's safe for everyone in the class who has food allergies. So he asks his teacher, what food allergies do my classmates have? She gives him a list. He says, wow, that's a lot of food allergies. And he feels a little better that he's not the only one in the class with food allergies. And he shows empathy because he wants to bake the ultimate allergy-safe cupcake that everybody in his class can eat. He wants to include all of his classmates because he knows what it feels like to feel different and to not be included. And so the book really focuses on themes of inclusion, empathy, perseverance, resilience, all really important values that I think are important for all kids, but especially kids who are diagnosed with food allergies at a young age. They really have a lot to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to create a book where they see another main character who has a food allergy just like them, to normalize the experience of having food allergies.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. As you were talking about the perfect cupcake that is allergy safe for everybody, I'm trying to wrap my head around what that could be, because it seems that there are some people that are, you know, in a classroom, you could find kids that are allergic to everything, gluten and milk and nuts. And what would that perfect cupcake be?
Well, you know, it's interesting because, so in the book, the main character hears about all the other food allergies in the class, and there's kids allergic to cow's milk, wheat, soy, eggs, pretty much everything, tree nuts, peanuts, and he goes on the internet and he does find an allergy-safe recipe that's free of the top 8 allergens. And so I contacted a bakery, and they created an original cupcake recipe that I included in the back of my book. That is the same recipe that the main character uses in the book for the class party. And I include that recipe, and it's free of the top 8 allergens. So it's free of wheat, soy, eggs, tree nuts, peanuts, just everything. The other 2 top 8 allergies are shellfish and fish, but those didn't really have a place in the story. So I was able to find a cupcake recipe that is safe for the majority of people who have the top 8 food allergens. And I included that in the back of the book along with some discussion questions. So I just thought that was a unique aspect of the book that just really ties it all together.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to create. We love books that are totally interactive. When we talk about how, books, kids love to read books over and over and over again, and there's so many ways. A lot of parents, after the first 500 readings, they want to pull their hair out. But this is a wonderful way to continue talking about the book, talking about these issues that, just go to the kitchen. Let's work together to make this perfect allergy-safe cupcake. And hopefully it's delicious, too.
Yes, and the baker who created the recipe, she works at an allergy-safe bakery. And as I was researching the book, I realized that there are actually a very large number of allergy-friendly bakeries in the United States. So these bakeries may be nut-free, they might be dairy-free, egg-free, they might have conventional baked goods and then allergy-safe baked goods, or they may be 100% allergy-safe. So I contacted a number of these bakeries, and I found this one who was very cooperative and willing to work with me. And they said, yes, we will create an original allergy-safe recipe for a cupcake, free from the top 8 allergens that you can use in your book. And I thought that was perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. And the nice thing about all these allergy-safe bakeries is that it allows kids with food allergies, like my son, who cannot go into a regular bakery and order whatever they want. It offers them the chance to, go in there, order what they want, and feel confident that the baked item is safe for them.
Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit about food allergies and how dangerous they can be. I'll be honest with you. Now I'm almost 100 years old, but we didn't hear about food allergies when I was young, and everybody had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and there were nuts everywhere. And first off, were kids having food allergies back then, and we just didn't know about it? We didn't talk about it, or has there been a change? Are more kids sensitive to different foods now than there were 50, 100 years ago?
Well, I know that when I was growing up, I can't think of a single friend who had a food allergy. Nobody in my family has food allergies. And then when my son was diagnosed when he was 2 years old, first with a sesame allergy and then later with a tree nut allergies, allergic to all tree nuts, I was really taken by surprise because this was kind of my first experience in a real way with food allergies. And, when my son was first diagnosed, I started doing some research. I learned that the most recent statistic is that 1 in 13 children in the United States has a food allergy. And when I heard that, I was just shocked. And that's actually an old statistic from about 8 years ago, and there haven't been any more updated statistics, so the number could be, even more prevalent now. And what that means is that in every classroom in the United States, there are 2 children on average with food allergies. And I have found that to be the case in terms of my son's classrooms, preschool, kindergarten, that sort of thing. And so it's really incredibly prevalent. And so you'd think with so many kids having food allergies that there would be a huge number of books for children on the topic of food allergies, and that really is not the case. There really are very few. It's a very niche area. And when my son was first diagnosed as a toddler, I wanted to find books on the topic of food allergies to read to him, to help him understand this condition and to identify with characters who were going through it. And I really didn't find much out there. Mm-hmm. And so I thought to myself, I have always wanted to write a children's book. This is the perfect topic. And then with work and everything, I didn't really pursue it until the pandemic started and I had some extra free time. And so I wrote the manuscript, and it really became a labor of love. And it really spoke to me. And as I talked to other food allergy parents, because I'm in a lot of support groups, I just realized there is a huge need for this. And I found my illustrator, and the book went into production. And since it's been published, the outpouring of comments, positive comments and reviews has been absolutely amazing. Parents have said, this is really needed. This is so important. I'm so glad that you've written a book that's both realistic and has an entertaining storyline that kids can really relate to. Mm-hmm. And I think it's especially important. I've been doing a lot of school presentations. I think it's important that schools really use books like My Perfect Cupcake to spark meaningful conversations between students and teachers, because with 2 students on average in every classroom who have a food allergy, it's really important that all students are aware of the serious nature of food allergies. Mm-hmm. And I think that children's books can really help with that, as they are read to the students and they just really encourage some meaningful discussion about it.
I'm glad you brought up the topic about schools. I know schools have an incredibly difficult job. We experienced that over the past year when teachers were expected to go literally from teaching in person. My wife taught for 33 years, and with 2 days' notice, she had to adjust to teaching on Zoom. And they did it. And so teachers are amazing, and school principals are amazing. But sometimes there's so much going on that they don't have time to fully address topics like food allergies. They find out, we have a number of kids who have food allergies. Okay, the school is not free. Put up the signs, but we don't talk about it. And, so parents are frustrated. My kid loves peanut butter, and why can't we? And why do we always, there's only 2 kids, and all this kind of stuff. And I think that schools would be doing themselves a huge favor, and also great service to kids, to sit down and to have some meaningful discussion, ongoing discussions about topics like food allergies, like race and inclusion. One of the frustrating things for me, as somebody who's been presenting educational magic shows in schools on various topics, there are so many schools that had a mandate to address the issue of bullying. And the way they did that is to have me come in and present a 45-minute show. And at the end of the time, they would check the box on their things to do and say, well, we don't have to talk about bullying again. Jedley came in, he did a wonderful job. And I'm like, I'm great, but you really need to keep talking about this. And I think the same is true with things like food allergies.
Yes, and actually, food allergy bullying is something that unfortunately can start very young. And I never even thought about the concept of food allergy bullying until it happened to us in kindergarten. And when my son was in kindergarten, he had an experience where he was bullied by another kindergartner about his food allergy. And it just completely shocked me because it just wasn't something I ever really considered, especially with 5-year-olds. And it really opened my eyes to how prevalent food allergy bullying is. And when I started doing some research, I learned that 2 out of 3 kids are bullied because of their food allergies. So it's a really big problem. And I think it's something that, children's books written on the topic of food allergies can really play an important role in helping raise food allergy awareness in schools. Because the more aware kids are about this topic, just the more likely it is that they will demonstrate kindness to their classmates who have food allergies, and acceptance and inclusion, and not focus on the differences.
Mm-hmm. And parents who are listening who are part of the majority who you have kids and your kids don't have food allergies and you don't have food allergies like Rebecca and growing up, food allergies are not a joke. They're quite serious, and it's difficult going through life saying, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I have to be careful. It's certainly not fun going into anaphylaxis shock.
Absolutely. And, I think as a food allergy parent myself, I think that the vigilance that parents have to, do on a daily basis, and the anxiety and the worry really can take its toll after time. And I think that this is something just universally experienced by all parents who have kids with food allergies, because, for instance, you're reading every food packaging label very carefully every time. You're double checking every ingredient with the waiter when you're dining out. You are always remembering to bring your emergency allergy medications like your EpiPen whenever you leave the house. And when your child is at school, you worry about class parties. Will they be served a food that has their allergen? You worry about cross-contamination issues in the lunchroom. When they're at birthday parties, you worry about the cake being served. Can they eat the cake? And if not, should you bring a safe treat for them? Or should you just leave early before the cake is served? So there's so many issues to navigate when you're a parent of a child with a food allergy, and it can become very stressful. So what I recommend, and I'm actually a licensed social worker myself, is I recommend that parents seek support. So they can seek support with a support group, which is really wonderful. They can seek support online. If they don't have time for an in-person support group, Facebook has a number, probably several dozen online support groups for food allergies that parents can join. So there's some that are focused on a specific food allergen. There are some that are more general. Parents can work with a therapist to get positive coping skills to manage their anxiety. And then, one thing that really helped me is I took an EpiPen class on my own when my son was first diagnosed, because I was just really anxious about the EpiPen and when to use it. And that really helped me a lot. I took one with the Red Cross. It made me feel a lot more confident about the EpiPen. So I also recommend that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And My Perfect Cupcake and your vision for the series are, it's a great resource for families dealing with food allergies. But I also think that it's a really important book for the kids who don't have food allergies to experience. It's a really important book for families that are blessed, that they don't have to deal with food allergies, because, as you said, chances are there's going to be 1, 2, 3 kids in your kid's classroom that are going to have food allergies, and it's important for your kid to have empathy, to understand what that child is going through, and to just help your kids love their classmates more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And in my discussion questions at the end of the book, a lot of my questions focus on how can you be a good friend to a classmate or a friend with food allergies? Because my book, as you mentioned, is for kids with food allergies and without. And my goal with the book is for kids without food allergies to understand and gain a greater awareness of what it is like to have food allergies. So some of the discussion questions at the back of the book ask, how can you be a good friend to someone with a food allergy? How can you help support kids in your classroom who have food allergies, to get kids thinking about how they can help and support, and to really, increase the concept of empathy. Because along with the bullying aspect I mentioned, I also saw a lot of positive things in terms of kids, classmates of my son in kindergarten, where they really looked out for him. In the lunchroom, if someone was eating something with sesame or tree nuts, they would give him a heads up and say, hey, that person next to you is eating a sesame bagel. Maybe you should move to another table. So they would keep an eye out for him. They would support him. So that was a really positive experience. And so I'm really hoping that my book will help kids with food allergies and without to just foster greater inclusion and, greater acceptance of others who have differences.
Yeah. Because at some point in our lives, our kids are going to be different. They're going to find themselves in a situation where they're different. And we're not going to want our kids to feel left out. We're going to want our kids to feel included in those situations. And the best way for that to happen is to teach your kid to be inclusive, to be empathetic, and to be loving. I love what you've done with the book. I think it's really important. Rebecca, tell everybody, please, where they can find out more about My Perfect Cupcake, and to make sure that they know when the new chapters in the Fearless Food Allergy Friend series are available.
Yes, absolutely. So my book is available in all formats: ebook, hardcover, and softcover on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any bookseller. You can find it there. They can also learn more about my upcoming books on my personal website. So that is www.RebeccaGreeneAuthor.com. And Green has an E at the end. And then on Facebook and Instagram, I have my social media, and it's at Rebecca Greene Author for Facebook and Instagram. And then I have a food allergy resource page on Facebook as well called Fearless Food Allergy Friends. So they can also go there and it's a general food allergy resource site, and also get updates about my next book, which I am working on now, book number 2 in the Fearless Food Allergy Friends series. I've signed with my illustrator, and I am hard at work on that book.
Awesome. And before we go, you mentioned your illustrator. You also mentioned that you went to a allergy-friendly bake shop, and they created this recipe for you. Can we give a shout out to your illustrator and that bake shop?
Absolutely. So my illustrator's name is also Rebecca. So we're Team Rebecca, and her name is Rebecca Sinclair. And she's amazing. I actually have signed with her for 2 more books. So one will be published in February and one will be published next summer. So I'm working on both of those. And the bakery who created the cupcake, their name is The Difference Baker, and they are an allergy-friendly bakery located in Leesburg, Virginia.
Awesome. We've had a great time speaking with the author of My Perfect Cupcake, Rebecca Greene. Hey, Rebecca, thanks so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a wonderful experience, and I'm so glad to share about the topic of food allergies and my book with your listeners today.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We have 3 great guests for you. Dr. Liz Bardelli will be in. She is a parenting expert, and she's here to talk about Clean Your Plate. 13 things good parents say that ruin kids' lives. Whoa! We're also going to be welcoming Steve Petzinger and Saleh Akbar Hussein. They are the authors of Bob the Banana Goes Bad. that is the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. If you are the author of a parenting book or of a beautiful picture book, you may be frustrated at how difficult it is to let people know about your book. We would love to help you. We'd love to have you as a guest on the show. Being a guest, it's fun, it's easy. It gives you the chance to tell thousands of people about your beautiful children's book, and it doesn't cost a thing. No need to pay anybody to facilitate your visit. All you need to do is to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page. Scroll on down to be a guest. You'll also be able to find out all about our Certified Great Read program. This is a wonderful program that has made a huge difference in the lives of many authors' books. Find out how we can help your book stand out from the crowd of books that are published every single month. readingwithyourkids.com. Hey, I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Rebecca Greene. Please be sure to check out My Perfect Cupcake. Also want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.